got a quick announcement. Okay, go ahead. Let me get out. If I can have your attention, please. If I can have your attention, please. Rattlers, thank you so much. I've just gavelled us back in for the continuation. We've got a couple quick announcements. In the flipping book on page 114 are the actual bylaws. Page 114 in the flipping book are where the bylaws, huh? Bylaw report. No, bylaw report. I'm sorry, bylaw report is on page 114. We also have an announcement here about our evening and the food trucks, so come on, Chuck.
Good evening, good afternoon, Rattlers. As relates to the food trucks tonight, the food truck event is included in your registration. Everyone that registered will receive a $25 voucher immediately following this event, okay? So you'll go outside, and right outside will be set up to hang your $25 voucher. Your badge will get you your voucher. Your badge will get you your voucher. If you do not have a badge, for whatever reason, and we know we had some hiccups with that, we have a list of who was registered, and we'll still be able to get you a voucher, okay? So immediately after this, your voucher will be available for you for the food truck tonight. If you have friends, family, or other that would like to participate in the food truck event, they can simply pay at the food trucks, okay? Thank you.
All right, so why don't we go ahead and get started with the bylaw update. I'm going to ask the chair of the bylaws to come forth and proceed. Ms. Lillian Dickey, Esquire. Davis, Esquire.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yes, ma'am. Okay, thank you so much. It's a little tall. Can everyone hear me? Yep. I'm going to take my glasses off, move them so I can see. Good afternoon. Hello? Okay. So, I am Lillian Dickey Davis, attorney at law. Before we begin this important, weighty part of the program, I want to make a public service announcement. Point of personal privilege, Mr. President. This week, or these past few days, we've been hearing a lot about restricted giving. And in one of my many volunteer positions, I serve as legal counsel to the Baddest Initiates, our fundraising board. Our tireless, fearless leader, Sarah Carla Echols Taylor, charged me with crafting the contract language that restricts our sizable donations to the university. We're nearing 7 figures. So if there is a D9 organization, club, or affiliate that Sarah, Dr. Brandy Tatum Frederick can certify or acknowledge that your organization is recognized by the FAMU Foundation, I offer my legal services to share that same information free of charge. Now, for those who do not know me in my limited time here with the FAMU Executive Board, I'm originally from the Garden State, New Jersey. A bit of trivia, I hail from the hometown of comedian Lou Costello, The Great Falls, and the high school that was the subject of the movie Lean on Me, Dear Eastside, that was my high school. I'm a former member of the Marching 100. I'm a former CEO of Diversified Labs and SBI, and of course a fall 1986 initiate of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated through the baddest chapter in the world. Thank you. So I know what everyone in this room is thinking, boy, I can't wait to discuss these proposed amendments. So let's get started. Can we go to slide 3, please?
3?
Slide 3.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So under the bylaws, section 9.2.8.2 and 9.2.8.3, the Constitution and bylaws are to be reviewed annually. The bylaws, the policies and procedures, and the association's governing documents for status and recommendations for changes. Mr. President, Executive Board, and members of this association, I'm happy to report that the Bylaws Committee has completed this task. I again want to thank President Curtis Johnson for entrusting my committee, and you see the names there on the PowerPoint presentation. Serving on this committee is not an easy task, I know some committees just meet once a month, but I thank my committee for their patience and their reading of all the documents that were presented. There were no decisions that were made in a vacuum, and I thank everyone again for their service. Now, for context or frame of reference, the bylaws reflect an organization at a specific moment in time. The best analogy I can give or provide is that the Constitution of this great nation, when the framers convened to draft the Constitution, they were of the opinion that the finished product addressed all the ills that had befallen previous governments. In actuality, it was the passage of amendments that perfected the document. Case in point, the amendments were based on the moral and economic pressures brought to bear at the time. Slavery was ended, women were given the right to vote, and Lily can drink her brown in public and it's legal. I predict in this room that in a few years, the younger generation will be able to smoke weed from coast to coast. So the bylaws are not intended to address every challenge or scenario that could possibly arise in an organization. And as the scripture in the good book of Ecclesiastes says, I'm putting my preacher hat on, time and circumstance befalls us all. That's why when we discuss this important piece of the program, I'm asking for a full measure of grace, understanding, and mercy. So now let's set the tone. Because of the manner in which the town halls and some of the strong opinions that were given, I'm just going to ask that I'm a professional, and I would like this discourse to progress in a professional manner. So mutual respect is implored. So I want to start this important vote by stating that, as I did in every town hall, the mission, the charge of the FAMU NAA is to support the university, raise funds to award scholarships, and recruit future FAMUans. I'll take this opportunity to also add, there is only one FAMU NAA. Slide 5, please.
Is it 5?
5.
Okay.
For the sake of the record, Section 1 contains those amendments that were mandated by the Board of Trustees. The FAMU NAA is a direct support organization that operates under the auspices of the FAMU Board of Trustees. Therefore, Section 1 does not require a vote. And I will remind everyone that the audit that was ordered by or mandated by the Board of Trustees has been available on the NAA website. Slide 6, please. Section 2 covers those amendments that either add language or modify language to the existing bylaws. Next slide, please. Section 3 covers those amendments to be removed and then subsequently placed in the policies and procedures of the association. Slide 8, we will now entertain public comments. That's not mine. Where's Alan? Okay. Public comments? We have the timer? Can you please state for the body, the room? Okay, thank you.
We'd like if you have public comment or questions, please line up here as we've been doing the entire convention. And each speaker will be allotted 1 minute. And we will go 15 minutes for public comment, and then it'll be up to the chair to decide. I know it's not. Oh. All right, did everybody hear that? So if you have a question, comment, please line up at the mic. We will take you in order. Each speaker or questionnaire will have 1 minute, just so we can get, as many people in as possible. And then we will have 15 minutes, starting with the one and only Deborah Payton Jones.
Hello, I wanted to first say I attended the town halls and they were amazing, and thank you so much to the entire committee, for all of the council, and most importantly, we are here for the students, and that's our primary focus. Mother FAMU is our love, so I just wanted to take 30 seconds to say thank you to everybody who went to the town halls, because the comments that were there were so perfectly timed and helped the committee to come to the conclusions. So I just want everyone to remember the students are our primary focus, and thank you for grace. That's it.
Good afternoon. My name is Donna Allen. I currently serve as the Region Member at Large. I am a member of the Metro Atlanta chapter and immediate past president, and I currently serve as our chair of Constitution and Bylaws for our chapter. I just want to say to our body today that our Constitution and Bylaws, it is the governing body of the foundation of what we do. So we know that last year, we did have a lot of debate, which essentially we had to put the business of amending our bylaws we had to table them essentially because we could not get on one accord. I will have to say to the testament of President Johnson and the rest of the executive board, there's been amazing energy here at our conference thus far, and my only ask of our body is to think down the road, think not just today, but think about the future of the NAA. President Johnson, Chief Alan Armstrong has emphasized over and over that the compliance pieces that our Board of Trustees and Florida A&M University are definitely holding us to a much higher standard, which means that we must handle the business of our of our association. We are a direct support. Oh, I only had a minute.
Do you have you want to finish that sentence?
I do.
Okay.
I need to finish what I'm saying.
Well, she had 30 seconds. We really need everybody to stick to the minute. We're trying to get more people, so we're going to give you 30 more seconds, Donna, just because you're Region of the Year. 30 more seconds. All right. Hold on, she's coming back. If she came in second, is it? Oh, and Deborah has yielded your time. Come on, finish.
I yield my time.
You sure? Okay. All right.
Good.
Put a minute on Jefferson.
Good evening, Rattlers. Vicki Muse Johnson, Gaston County Chapter. And I rise to say she really started off, and I'm going to finish it. We have spent a lot of energy and time over back and forth in what appears to me personal attacks. And what I would like for us on the front side to do is to make sure that we know the importance of bylaws and why they are written to help us make sure we govern ourselves. And let's not take it personal and go tit for tat back and forth, but let's really think about what we're voting on so that we can move ourselves forward together. We are better and stronger together. Thank you.
Amen. Amen.
Okay. First, I want to say to the committee. They put a work. It's very obvious. Very appreciative of the town halls. And I just wanted to ask, I guess it's appropriate, a clarification. You mentioned that Section 3 would removing section from the bylaws and placing them and procedures, and that would be basically a drag and drop. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
And let me give some more context about Section 3. Section 3 it's just really a replication of those suggestions that were made by the audit in paragraph 1. But in order to be in full compliance, we had to remove a number of bylaws wherein the auditor said our bylaws contain a number of provisions that really should be policies and procedures and not in fact bylaws, which is why we were given more or less a comment, a criticism, that we have addressed our bylaws every 2 every 2 years or whenever there's, every year, whenever there's been a convention, which is not the practice. It should be that there are decisions that are made annually with respect to dues in those other sections or those other amendments that are listed there. So they're being removed, but they're being placed in their proper governing document, which is the policies and procedures. As our next president has mentioned, that document is forthcoming. And so once we act on our proposed amendments today, they'll be reflected and we would produce and provide to the body the approved amendments, and then they'll be then transferred over and into the policies and procedures of the organization. So at this time, Mr. President, I call on Donna Allen of the Southern Region, the member at large, to bring a motion to the floor.
All right, so at this time, on April 1st, the Bylaws Committee prepared a memo that listed all of the proposed amendments. The memo was posted on the FAMU NAA website, and there were 4 town halls to fully discuss the same. Therefore, I move that the proposed amendments in the April 1st memo be adopted.
Mr. President, it's been moved. Oh, that's for you to do. Don't let me step on you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you, Chair. It's been received, moved, and properly second to accept the bylaw report and update and amendments as stated. Duly noted that that second was by Ms. Tanya Ware, and the motion was made by Ms. Donna Allen. Any questions on the motion on the floor? Unreadiness on that. Unreadiness is realized. Come on up to the mic. If you have other unreadiness, we can line up here. You recognize Mr. Polk.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Artie Polk from the Washington, D.C. chapter. My question is, are we voting on these in total, or are we going to vote on them seriatim?
The motion on the floor is to vote on them in its entirety. That's the April 1st memo. I don't know if you read it. It has all 3 sections, each amendment listed.
Right,
That
I
is the
know.
vote on the
So
floor.
we're voting on them in total?
That's the motion on the floor.
That's the motion on the floor. I'd like to offer a substitute motion that we vote on them ad seriatim, one at a time, because they're different amendments, and some may be opposed, as whereas the others may be in favor of. It seemed like it would be much more reasonable approach to them.
So then vote on his, have to vote on his.
Is there a second?
Is there a second to that substitute motion offered? All right, I hear a second been recognized that we will take up the substitute motion of taking the bylaws individually. That's the motion that we'll be voting on now on the floor. Everybody understand what we're voting on, the substitute motion? And we're going to handle each bylaw individually, separately. All those in favor of that, please raise your paddles to green. Separately, each individual, please raise your paddle to green if you're in favor of that motion. How many in that favor?
Mr. President, we have 73.
We have 73 in favor of that. All opposed, please show the red side of the paddle. All opposed?
Mr. President, 15.
All right, substitute motion passed. We will count on each one individually. All right, let's go.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
In the spirit of, what's the term I'm looking for? Consent is an expediency. With the original author of the motion to vote for them separately, is there a particular clause that we can say is more controversial than the other so we can vote with others in group?
All right.
All right.
Very well.
Okay. So I'm going to ask that the slide with section 2. We are not voting on the mandated changes by the Board of Trustees, so we're going to section 2. And the first up, 3.9 is the discussion on the vacant, changing the language about vacant or national officer. The rationale is that if a position, excuse me? Okay. So for 3.9, the rationale is that if a vacancy comes to the executive board, the national president would make an appointment to fill that vacancy. Entertain a motion to adopt this?
I move to adopt the amendment to section 3.9. Second.
All right, so moved and properly second that we adopt section 3.9 of the bylaws. Any questions on that particular motion that's on the floor? Seeing none, all in favor of that, please indicate with the green side of your paddle.
Mr. President, we have 90 in favor.
90. We have 90 in favor. Any opposed? All right, motion passes. That section is now passed.
Thank you. Now we'll move to section 3.10, conflict of interest. The rationale behind this proposed amendment is that we now start each executive board meeting and state that that the members themselves will abide by or report that if they have or disclose any potential conflict of interest. And so if this amendment is passed, right now there is no such language in our bylaws, and this amendment will be added.
Madam Chair, I move that we accept the proposed amendment to section
3.10. Thank
Second.
Then moved and properly seconded, we accept section 3.10. Any questions on that motion? Microphone up front, please. Let's go. If you have questions on motions, just be prepared to come up, state your name. We'll go from there. Thank you. You're recognized.
Thank you. It's not a question. I'd just like to know, could you explain that a little more?
Keep
Speaking
speaking
to the microphone. State your name first, please.
Mary Smith, Broward County. Could you just, it's just a point of information.
Okay.
Could you just explain it just a little more? Not quite understanding it.
Okay. All officers, elected or appointed, must adhere to ethical conduct as defined by the association's code of conduct. Officers shall disclose any potential conflicts of interest, including but not limited to financial or personal relationships that could impact their decision-making. Any officer found to have engaged in self-dealing, misuse of funds, or actions contrary to the interests of the association shall be subject to removal following the procedures outlined in section 3.4. And as I stated earlier, there is no such language in the present bylaws that addresses a conflict of interest.
All right, does that settle that? Everybody clear on that? This is real standard. It's with the foundation board as well, so it's just standardizing that we have to ask that up front. And if you do have a conflict, you must disclose that and abstain from that vote. Any other questions on the motion? All right, seeing none, hearing none. If you got questions that weren't clear. Yeah, I mean, so.
Alan?
I just want to know conduct.
Alan?
What is conduct? If I shoot somebody, I just want to know what the conduct of interest is.
This is conflict of interest.
Conflict.
It's conflict. So if you have a business and you are trying to do a contract with the National Alumni Association and you're a board member, you should excuse yourself and not vote on that. That's a conflict of interest.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, no problem.
Good afternoon, Rattlers. Shanae Davis, Tampa chapter. Where is our code of conduct? Where do we find our code of conduct?
Yeah, this is conflict of interest.
This is putting the NAA on notice. We already sent you to comply with state law. So I think it's chapter 112 is the code of public official code of conduct, but also FAMU Board of Trustee regulation. I think it's one that says we got to do this, and so that's why we've been doing this. We're just putting as part of the codifying it that we will in fact understand we're required to follow the law, and there's a consequence if we don't.
Thank you.
Call the question.
All right, call the question has been raised on this issue. We're dealing with section 3.10 of the bylaws, conflict of interest. All right, all in favor of that, please indicate by raising the green side of the paddle. All right. We have a count. He's coming back. Thank you. What's the count, sir?
Mr. President, 96 in
We have
favor.
96. Any opposed? Any opposed? We signify 1. Okay. Motion passes. Move on to the next, please.
Thank you. Can we have the PowerPoint back up on the screen? We're now on section 4.1. Or 4.1, nominating procedures. Currently, the proposed language will state, because right now there was some, I'll say controversy, putting it as it is. We had to go to court to defend our interpretation of the bylaws, so this section makes it clear. The proposed language will state, the nominating committee shall, in consultation with the financial secretary and Office of Alumni Affairs, have the responsibility to certify the nominees as candidates for office. No candidate shall run for more than one seat on the National Executive Board simultaneously, national office and/or regional office. This measure serves to further prevent a person from being selected or elected to more than one position on the National Executive Board.
All right.
I move that we accept the proposed amendment to section 4.1.
It's been moved and properly seconded. We adopt nominating procedure section 4.1. Any questions on the motion? Seeing none,
Question.
there's a question on the motion.
Come to the microphone.
Microphone, please. Microphone.
Again, it's just a point of inquiry. So you're saying that if I wanted to run on the NAA ballot as the president, I cannot put my name on a ballot for regional member at large? That's all you're saying, right?
What I'm saying is, and I shall repeat, no candidate shall run for more than one seat on the National Executive Board simultaneously, which, parentheses, national office and/or regional office. So whatever combination puts you at running for more than one seat on the Executive Board, this language says you cannot do it.
Okay, so second question, and that's my last one for this one. So if I'm running for a national office and the election does not occur at the same time, does that make it okay for me now to put my name on a regional? No. Let her explain, because it...
Well, they answered your question. I'll state the same. No.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Is there another question on this particular motion? Yes.
I just want to offer just a friendly clarification, just so when we say regional, the only two regional offices that sit on the national board is the regional VP and the member at large.
Correct.
Absolutely. Thank you for that clarification.
Call the question has been raised on this issue on nominating procedure section 4.1. All in favor of indicating this moving forward, please show the green side of the paddle. We're only counting paddles, so if you don't have a paddle, you're not going to be counted. Just paddles. What's the count, sir?
Mr. President, we have 91.
We have 91. Any opposed to this measure, please show the red side of your paddle. We have 1. Okay? Motion passes.
Thank you so much. And moving right along, we will now move on to
Convention.
convention.
7.3. Conventions.
Thank you.
No, we just handle the nominating procedure. We just handle that.
But there is one that is missing from the memo, member at large. It did not make the presentation. 5.10, member at large. So I'm going to ask that the record reflect that we're going to make a change.
We're updating this procedure to 5.10, which deals with member at large.
Okay. So the current bylaws describes the position as a regional member at large serving the executive board. The proposed language was change the title from member at large to assistant regional VP, vice president, and that the duties would be described as serves on the executive board as the secondary representative of the region from which elected. Assist the regional vice president with overall administration of the region's membership and functional chapters. And the rationale is the title is being changed to match the responsibilities.
All right.
Move that we accept the proposed amendment to section
5.10.
1-0.
It's been moved to proper second that we accept section 5.10, which changes the title from male to assistant vice president. Any questions? All in favor indicate by showing the paddle. Green.
Mr. President, we have 86 in favor.
87? 86. Any opposed? Please show your paddle if you're opposed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6 opposed. Motion passes.
Okay, next we will discuss conventions. In the bylaws, that's section 7.3. Currently, conventions are held on an annual basis, whether those conventions be a national convention or a regional convention. So the proposed language would state, please pay attention, then that way everybody will be able to understand at the same time, and we're not repetitive because we have a lot more to go. Starting with the national convention in year 2025, on a biannual basis, the president shall determine whether a convention of delegates shall be held in person or virtually with the approval of the executive board. Written notice of the national conference and whether that conference shall be in person or virtual shall be distributed to the active members of the association not less than 6 months prior to said conference. Starting in the year 2026, regional conferences shall be held biannually in a calendar year when there is no national convention. The regional vice president shall determine whether a convention of delegates shall be held in person or virtually with the approval of the regional executive board. Written notice of the regional conference and whether the conference shall be in person or virtual shall be distributed not less than 6 months prior to said conference. The rationale. The president shall determine whether an in-person or virtual conference is to be convened to increase participation in national conventions and regional conferences without competing for attendance, and also for budgetary considerations as well.
I move that we accept the proposed amendment to section 7.3.
It's been moved and properly second that we adopt section 7.3 of the conventions. Questions on the motions, just come to the mic, please. Come on, unreadiness. What you need?
I'm Artie Polk from the Washington, D.C. chapter. My unreadiness comes in the form of offering a substitute motion that we continue holding annual meetings of both at the national level and at the regional level, and I'd like to speak to that issue once we get the remarks.
Is he modifying my motion?
He made a substitute motion. Substitute motion is that we continue with the annual meetings. Am I stating that right, sir? Every year that we have an annual meeting.
Right.
Okay. So that's a substitute motion on the floor. Is there any question about the substitute motion on the floor? Yes, sir.
I want to speak to the motion.
Hold on one second.
I'd like to speak to the motion.
Hold on one second.
Hold on, you have to be recognized.
Yes, sir.
That was part of my motion. Both, national and regional. Yeah,
Both
that
to
was in
be
the motion.
annual. Both to be annual.
Yeah, that was in my motion.
All right. You can speak, sir. You're recognized.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair, Mr. President, for this opportunity to speak to the motion. I'd just like to share with the Rattlers that I have quite a bit of experience with organizations that have changed from an annual meeting to a biannual meeting, and on second thought have changed it back to an annual meeting. And so I believe that this amendment that has been offered is at this time very untimely and ill-advised. And I'd like to share my experience with that in several organizations across the board. Thank you.
All right. Yes, ma'am. Come on to the mic. You're recognized.
Hello, Keisha Alexander Johnson from the Northwest Georgia chapter. I agree with Mr. Polk. In this environment, especially what we are facing right now, very important that we have our annual meetings, because when things happen like this so quickly, we need to be able to meet together and address them. I do think we should also have the regional meetings as well. I think that they're important, and giving consideration to our leaders who have thought this through and who have thought about the financial considerations as well. I do recognize that, and I do appreciate what you all are saying as well. But I do think that right now, in this environment that we're dealing with right now, it is very important. I also think that it's important for the new leadership who's coming up to be able to actually evaluate this and also determine whether or not they would also like to.
Time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other want to speak to this motion?
I believe I stated budgetary constraints, and I just want to give more information on that. Let's be cognizant that there are some people that have to decide on an annual basis which conference or convention they want. So the goal behind this is not to in any way silence voices. It's to encourage or try to increase the attendance at whether it's a regional convention or a national convention. We don't want anyone to have to choose, because there are some people, if they have to make that choice, they're going to go to the closest meeting or conference near them, as opposed to increasing the attendance, which we do need at our national conventions. I yield.
All right. Someone behind you, sir. Yes, you.
I want to make a comment.
Yes, sir. You're recognized.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I'm coming up as a member right now, life member.
All right, member. You got your minute.
Take my chief hat off. Alan Armstrong, Metro Atlanta, life member. What I want everyone to be cognizant of, because I see a pattern. We all want things, but it's work to put together a national meeting. It takes a tremendous amount of money, a tremendous amount of time and planning. Every other year actually benefits the administration that's in the seat at the time, because they get an opportunity to focus on the work of the NAA. And let me give you an example. For instance, if this does not pass, President-elect Polk will have to start planning next year's convention 2 weeks after taking office. I just want to make sure we're clear on how long it takes to do a convention. She's going to have to get RFPs. She's going to have to decide where the convention is.
Point of order.
So,
point of order, please.
I just want to make sure everyone
You don't have to agree,
understands.
but please, let's be respectful to each other. Let's be respectful to each other. You don't have to agree, but please listen.
I was just told by the parliamentarian time, but I'm going to take a point of person. No, I'm just kidding. All right, thank you. It takes a lot of work. I hope you consider that.
We have next, you recognize Mr. Sebastian.
Greetings and salutations, the Sebastian Alexander, Regional First VP for the Northeast Region. I have a question. Now, I'm in favor of this because I know how much it costs to come here. It is quite expensive, into the thousands, and unless you're a seasoned rattler, most of us ain't got it. Let's be clear, right? What I am trying to understand in the verbiage is how I interpret it is that the national president within 6 months can call, determine if it is going to be virtual or in person. Is that for the year? Can that be any year that he, she, or they can determine that? Because it does not dictate if it's the on year. Do you understand what I'm saying?
No, I disagree with you because it says starting with the National Convention in the year 2025 on a biannual basis, which means if this amendment passes, the next National Convention shall be either called or held in person or virtually 2027.
Okay.
Biannual.
Thank you. I wasn't a math major. Thank you.
No problem.
All right. You're recognized, ma'am.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
You pull it down a little bit. Just pull it.
Just a little?
Yeah.
Yeah, help her.
There we go.
please.
I'm good.
Okay.
I'm there.
Hey.
All right. Deborah Willis, JRE Lead Life member. I come in opposition to this change. There's too much going on. I have to repeat some of the things that Ms. Alexander said. There's too much going on right now. I don't want us to get distracted by the budget part of it, the monetary part of it. While that is very important, if we vet it out, think a little bit more into it before we cut something off, let's vet it out a little bit more. And especially this year, we're at the fork in the road. We're getting ready to change. And this is not the time to put in a major change, in my opinion. There is too much going on. Do you balance your checkbook once a year? No. There's too much business, and I yield because my time is up. Thank you.
Thank you. You're recognized, sir.
Roger Charity, Vice President, DFW Chapter. If we move to this biannual schedule, when things of importance comes up in off years, what is the proposed way we will be handling that if we're not having a national convention?
Your question has been raised, Chair. Do you want to address that?
When you say if something of importance, this amendment leaves the calling of a convention as it currently rests with the national president. All this amendment is saying that the national convention will either be virtual or in person every 2 years. And that decision lies and rests with the national president. And so, in answer to your question, it's up to the president to decide if there's a need to meet, as we currently do now.
Hold on. So, a couple things.
I don't know how to say it any other way. I apologize.
If there's a state that the president has the power to call a meeting and convene a body if there's something that we have to deal with, right? And we have done that, right? We come to the convention to vote a budget every year. We come to the convention to change bylaws as a state. That's and have our annual meeting. That's written in there now. What we're looking at and what we're proposing is trying to build up more region participation, give those regions that support, and then also give that the leaders to plan a convention, because the work, we don't have a company that we hire. The president and whoever she assembles going forward does this work to plan a convention.
No, thank you. I just wanted to make sure that everyone knew that we would have the opportunity in between years if something arises.
In this case here, it would simply be up to the president to call a meeting and to deal with what we need to deal with.
And let's all keep in mind that each president has the ability to call a special meeting, send notices out to the body, and this is being implemented as a cost-saving measure.
All right. You recognize, ma'am.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Artisha Polk, life member, FAMU NAA, Washington, D.C. chapter, first vice president. I would first want to thank the committee for all of your hard work. I will say, since this has been proposed, I would agree with the substitute motion made by Dr. Polk. I would like for this next administration to be able to look into this further, delve deeper, and I would prefer for us to keep our annual conventions unless the new administration makes a different determination. That is my personal preference on this one, and thank you very much for your consideration. I agree with the substitute motion if we could pass that one. Thank you.
All right. Come on.
Good afternoon, Morgan Culler, Corresponding Secretary, Charlotte Area Chapter. I kind of agree, I'm on the fence about this for a couple of reasons. I do agree with what Roger said, but where I am is I think that part of the motion should include let it be up to the president whether or not we decide to have it on a biannual basis once the president has time to figure out what's going on because of the precedent times that we're in and because of whatever might happen during their presidency. And I also think that we should do it because I know when we did have regional conferences or conventions rather, at the same time, they were right around the same time as the national convention. So if we could space them out with maybe 6 months between each other, that could be a solution to things as well. I understand the budgetary constraints and the things that come into it, but there are ways and things that we can cut down on that as well. Thank you.
Thank you. You recognize, sir? 1 minute.
Hello, my name is Kevin Crawford, DFW chapter, and I guess I have just a point of clarification. So we're voting on the substitute motion, and the substitute motion isn't that the same as what we already have in our bylaws. So if we vote no on the substitute motion and vote no on the bylaw motion, it goes back to where we are now.
Correct.
Correct.
So why the substitute motion? Just vote no on the main motion.
Yes.
Lady, she's back has a question, so I want to take the mic to her.
Oh, in the back with a question?
Yeah,
Okay.
can my minute start when I get back there?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll recognize you next. Yeah.
Good afternoon, Lynette Jones. There is two things that are not being addressed. Our terms of office are 3-year terms, and if we move to biennial, then you're going to have maybe a president only having a convention one time during their administration. And so we probably need to consider moving the terms to 4 years so that they will have 2 terms if you're going to biennial to have the convention. So this does not address that. And also, we have not had time and place. We used to have time and place. And so we used to be able to prepare and know where our conventions would be so that we could save up and get to those conventions. So we need time and place put back to know where our conventions are going to be.
Thank you. There is no motion before the body to change the term limits of the officers right now. We are voting on the motion, as it is stated, to start in 2025 on a biannual basis, having the president have the authority to charge, to either schedule, convene a in-person or regional, in-person or virtual convention, and the same starting in 2026 for the regional VP. I call the question.
I just want to add 2 things for comment. Number one, this is not something that we just started considering. This is a bylaw that had been proposed and we've analyzed for the past 3 years. The next thing that I wanted to clarify, we're not just talking about cost, we're talking about time and labor. To be a volunteer is something that is, let me use proper words. It takes time and energy, and we had the same people who contribute and take away from their jobs in order to make sure that this convention is done properly. What this amendment, the purpose of it is to ensure that we have participation, that we're not in debt for these conventions, and that we have support in the regions, so that we can have local chapters, regional, and national participation. We can handle the business of the NAA during, if there's a need for it, a special meeting can be called. And lastly, I want to say we need to stop being reactionary and make sure that we're putting things in place that will be long-lasting so that we can be an organization that exists.
All right. Yes, clarification recognized.
Yes, as Mr. Crawford mentioned, there is no substantive difference between leaving things as they are or the substitute motion. Does the maker of the substitute motion agree, be willing to withdraw the motion and just vote no?
He doesn't agree.
Please come to the microphone and state your case on that, sir. He's coming up.
Artie Polk, Washington, D.C. chapter. See, I do not want there to be any misunderstanding, because the last thing the chair said is that we were voting on the original motion, and that is not the
I
case.
apologize. I misstated.
We
You're right.
are to vote on the substitute motion.
Yes, no problem, sir. You fine. We good.
I just want us to be clear, because once we start mixing apples and oranges, then we're not clear.
We are fine. No need for the combative bravado. I'm good. We good. I come
Mr.
in
Polk,
peace. I come in
there's
peace.
a question. There's a question.
I come in peace. I come in peace.
My question remains, as Mr. Crawford explained. Hold on. My point of clarification is Mr. Crawford explained, keeping it the same is the equivalent of what you propose as the substitute. Do you agree that they are the same thing?
I agree, but that has nothing to do with my motion on the floor.
All right.
All right. You have a question on the motion? We have a substitute motion that we're having debate on. Hold on. What is going on here? We have a substitute motion on the floor. We're going to take that up after this last comment, which is to...
Just a question about it.
Yes.
I have a question on the way it is now, which I understand what Reggie's saying, but is there anything that prohibits us from having our meeting virtually in the current bylaws?
Yes, the current bylaws state that the annual meetings must be in person. It is interpreted that way. So this gives some levity to the president to make decisions. To have an annual meeting virtually, clearly an option of who that next administration would be. There's no current in there right now. They have to be in person.
May I ask one?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
So if we were to have a virtual meeting with the original motion, if we were to have a virtual meeting, would we be able to vote? I know that the meeting can still be held, but would we have the opportunity as a general body to vote?
Yes, much like we've done with COVID and COVID shutdown, that administration would figure all of that out, and the option would be there for that participation in voting.
Absolutely.
It would give an option that we don't have right now. Our meetings must be annual, held in person. So the motion, substitute motion on the floor that we're about to take up, made by Mr. Polk, is simply that he's calling for, I guess, to remain the same, that we remain the same. Yes? No. Nope. It goes back to where we currently are right now. No, I have a motion on the floor. He has a motion on the floor. We're going to take this motion order up. Who's the second on the motion? Could you get hold on? Could you get the microphone? Get him the microphone, please. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. There are people online as well. State your name.
Sebastian Alexander, I think me and the young lady have the same comment, to where the friendly amendment is to where that we include virtual, whatever that looks like, to the amendment, so we can still keep it yearly, but it will be either in person or virtual. It is second.
I was the original seconder of the motion. I accept the friendly amendment.
All right, so we have a substitute motion on the floor that's going to basically make the annual meeting the option of the president and regionals at the same time that they have been. And so that substitute motion is on the floor. It's been moved and properly second. The option will be annual and or a virtual option. So, in person or virtual. Any questions? I see none. All in favor of a substitute motion, please show the green side of your paddle.
Mr. President, we have 79 in favor.
79 in favor. Okay, any opposed? Show the red side of your paddle. Let's count the ballots, please.
Two in opposition.
22 opposition. Substitute motion passes.
Now we will move on to PowerPoint, please.
Okay. So for the counters, please don't use your paddles as fans. We'll get the air turned down, but you're confusing the counters, okay? Thank you. Appreciate that. They don't know if you're voting for or against.
For or against. Okay.
All right.
Okay, so let's move on, please, to
We're
committees.
gonna move on. Please have your attention.
We're moving on to committees. 9.1. The proposed language is that all committee chairs shall be appointed by the president and approved by a majority vote of the executive board. All committee appointments shall serve at the will and pleasure of the president. The rationale: committees and duties shall be delineated going forward in the policies and procedures of the association. Therefore, committees and their respective duties shall be subject to annual review and approval of the president and the executive board.
Yes, I move that we accept the proposed bylaw amendment to section 9.1.
It's been moved to properly second to section 9.1 of the bylaws. Any questions on that? All in favor indicate with the green side of your paddle.
$98 in favor,
98.
Mr. President.
Okay.
Yes,
Any
sir.
opposed? Noted. 1. Okay. Motion passes.
Thank you. Section 9.2, as my grandmother would say, this is a good one. Government Relations Committee, the composition and duties. Government Relations Committee, as currently stated, in the bylaws, if you look them up, our current bylaws state, and this is just a reiteration for the good of the order, the Government Relations Committee shall consist of the president and regional vice presidents. The duties: coordinate with the university in a timely fashion or as needed to secure the university's legislative priorities, encourage chapters to communicate with legislators on the talking points given by this committee, schedule visits to interact with federal, state, and local officials, plan and organize annual Alumni Legislative Day in support of the university legislative platform at the national and state levels during the legislative session. Entertain a motion?
I move that we, Kashasha Sharp, I move that we accept the proposed bylaw amendment to section 9.2.
All right, so move to proper second that we accept section 9.2 of government relations. Are there any questions on the motion? To the mic, please.
Can you simply summarize that for me? What are we doing with government relations piece? I'm sorry.
You said summarize?
It just.
I'm not going to summarize. I'm just going to read it again, okay?
Go ahead, Rosie. Go ahead.
Work out. Get my steps in.
No, we got a question in the back.
There's a question in the back. Please be patient. There's a question in the back.
Good afternoon. I'm in opposition to this structure because this is not how the Government Relations Committee has been working. We are in the state of Florida, and we have 67 counties, and we have chapters in some of those counties. So those chapters have been vital in us promoting our legislative budget, proposals, and meeting with our legislators in our current counties. The way this is addressed now is saying that the regional vice presidents would be the only people on that particular committee, and we need the help of our counties to help get our legislative budgets passed. And it has been working very well, with the exception of this year, but the current structure works, and so that we can get what we need for our university and not put that on the regional.
Time. I'd like to state for the good of the order that this actual amendment is not a change nor a modification. It is the exact language that exists in our current bylaws.
Right.
Now, practice on the part of some individual or local chapters and counties, it is what's led us to make this restatement of the current bylaws. I entertain a motion.
Is a question coming to the floor? There's a motion on the floor, but we're entertaining questions.
Good afternoon. Van Russ, Regional Vice President, Fall West Region, Life Member, Las Vegas Chapter. My question is, why is this particular amendment in the bylaws rather than being moved to Policy and Procedures Manual?
Because of some sensitive issues that have arisen with respect to how certain individuals, certain chapters, and certain regions have chose to participate in this activity, that is the need. And that's all I'm willing to say.
Madam Chair, if I may, as
Yes, please.
putting my legal counsel hat on, not just as a committee member, one of the easiest ways for us to lose our 501c3 compliant 501c3 status is for us to participate in political activity incorrectly. And quite frankly, we attempted to put in some measures to ensure that we're complying with that. So this is just another way for us to ensure that we are in compliance.
So basically you're saying it goes into the bylaws rather than as moved into Policy and Procedure.
Yes.
We can't do the same thing by moving it over there.
We think it's
Is
stronger.
that what we're saying?
Excuse me, if I may? Yes, this is mandating legal compliance because some people have, I'm going to say for lack of a better word, have almost crossed the line. And we should not have a national association that is jeopardized by those members and even some on the executive board who choose to participate in partisan politics. So that is why this amendment is being restated for the good of the order.
Yeah, I'd like to comment, as former FAMU University lobbyist, I would be in favor of making sure it stays in the bylaws. It's already long been the case, federal IRS tax law, no electioneering. It's already the case, state of Florida, Florida statutes, no electioneering. But somehow, few individuals don't seem to get that. And in addition, since we're a state university, with the current, long before the current political structure as it is now, which is a nightmare, it was always the case that the university was supposed to request items, and all chapters were supposed to stick to that. And we always had problems with a few chapters somehow thinking they're an exception. So for that reason, just like I think section 15 with compliance, we put things in the bylaws because if you put them in the policy and procedures, sometimes people don't go to the smaller document. But the big document, whenever there's turnover in officials, first thing we want to see is important things we need to know. This is one of those things that we could lose our existence if we don't follow.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right. This is already in the bylaws. We wanted to bring it to your attention. The call of question has been raised on this, so we're going to take a motion and we're going to take this vote up at this point. So if you're in favor of, what's this section 9.2?
9.2.
Please indicate by showing the green side of your paddle, the green side, if you're in favor. Ms. McBurrow, I'm seeing the red side. Okay.
Mr. President, we have 94.
We have 94. Any opposed? Please show the red side of your panel. Any opposed? So noted on 2. All right. Motion passes.
Thank you. Now we will move to section, PowerPoint please, section 14.1. Currently, there is no language in the bylaws that constitutes a waiver of any article, so this would be in addition, and I will state. The policies and procedures of the FAMU NAA are to be reviewed annually and subject to a vote of the Executive Board for approval. Nothing in these bylaws is intended to constitute a waiver of any article of the Constitution. The Executive Board shall have the final interpretive authority regarding doubtful or conflicting portions of the bylaws. The Executive Board shall meet and deliberate on any provision that is challenged or called into question. Therefore, after a vote of the Executive Board, that will determine the interpretation of the provision that is challenged or called into question. And I hope no one needs to know why this is being suggested, but the rationale is the Executive Board resolves any challenges to the bylaws going forward.
I move that we accept the proposed bylaws in section 14.1.
It's been moved and it's probably seconded that we accept this section of the bylaws, section 14.1, governing and operating rules. Any questions? All right, seeing none, all in favor, show the green side of your paddle.
President, we have 93 in favor.
93 in favor. Any opposed? Any opposed? So noted. I see 4. 5. Motion passes. Yes, ma'am. Oh, 1 abstention. Okay. I'm sorry. I didn't call. Okay. Okay.
4
2
abstentions.
4
Motion
abstentions.
passed. Okay, now we will move to section 15.3. Excuse me. We will now move to section 15.3. Compliance with IRS 501c3 regulations. Currently, there is no language in the bylaws that addresses this amendment, and this is very important because this amendment speaks to our being certified by the Board of Trustees. The proposed language states, the association shall strictly adhere to all IRS regulations governing 501c3 organizations, including restrictions on political activities, financial reporting, and fundraising activities. The association shall not endorse or financially support political candidates or campaigns, nor shall it engage in any substantial lobbying efforts beyond those permitted for nonprofits. All fundraising and expenditures shall be documented and reported in accordance with the federal and state tax laws. The rationale: to enforce the association compliance with our IRS regulations for nonprofit organizations. We email out a notice a couple of times of the year around election seasons, and we touch on it in Section 15, the supremacy clause, and the compliance statutes. And so this would be a specific language that would be added to our current bylaws. Entertain a motion.
I move that we accept the proposed bylaw section.
Been moved and probably seconded we accept Section 15.3, compliance with IRS 501c3. Any questions? Question? I heard somebody. Okay, who? Oh, okay, come on. Yes, ma'am, you're recognized.
Okay, thank you. My question is, you're stating that the body is not supposed to participate in any political activities, right? My question is, does that include the NAA sharing the private information to political parties? Because there are political parties in Florida that has my information that I get every year when they run. And I know they can only get it from the database that the NAA have. So does that include not sharing the information in the database?
I'm going to restate the proposed language that speaks to your question.
Okay.
The association shall not endorse nor financially support political candidates or campaigns, nor shall it engage in any substantial lobbying efforts beyond those permitted for non-profits.
Okay, so you cannot share my information to any political party, correct?
I'm not speaking on sharing any information. I'm speaking on compliance with IRS 501c3.
I know what it's saying, but that means that... Okay, that's what I'm saying. Okay, just want to make sure.
We do not.
Oh, yes, you have.
Oh.
All right.
You said you have.
Okay. All right, so we have this motion. That I see no other questions on this. All right, all in favor of adopting this 15.3, please show by the green side of your paddle.
No, I'm done. I'm sitting down. Kashasha gone. No, Kashasha gone.
Mr. President, we have 105 in favor.
105, okay. Any opposed? So noted.
Okay.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. One.
Thank you.
Motion passes.
So Section 2 has been dealt with in its entirety, and I now turn the microphone over to Kashasha.
Madam Chair, though we technically don't have a choice with respect to Section 1 and Section 3, I move that we accept the proposed bylaw changes to Section 1 and Section 3 in compliance with the Board of Trustees and as a DSO.
All right, we've been moved and proper second that we amend and ratify Section 3 to the policies and procedures. I'm sorry?
Section 1 and 3.
Section 1 and 3. Any questions on this motion? Seeing none, all in favor, show the green side of your paddle. Yes, sir.
Mr. President, we have 98 in favor.
Okay. Any opposed? Please show the red side of your paddle. So noted. I count one. All right, motion passes.
So, Mr. President, it's been an honor to serve as your bylaws chair, and it's all been a stone gas honey. My name is Lillian Dickey Davis. Wish you love, peace, and soul.
All right. Thank you. Get your computer. I want to thank Chair Davis for her outstanding work in working with the bylaws. Thank you all. We have moved our organization forward with some things that will certainly greatly assist the next administration. We've clarified some things that we really need clarity on. And I think, like I've said earlier, in the area of compliance that we are operating in now, we have to do our due diligence to protect this vehicle that is the vehicle to support these students at Florida University. So thank you for that. And also, we're going to collect the paddles, so when you leave, you can collect those in the back. I want to quickly transition now. I said we would have an engaging opportunity. RVP Russ, I'm going to call you up to kind of kick us off because you and I had a conversation. And I'm here to certainly listen. I'm here to share. I'm here to look at what are we doing to move forward as an organization. You may have heard by now, but the actual foundation board, which met upstairs, actually tabled the discussion when it came to compensation. And a lot of it hinges on information that we still don't have. We have a limited amount of money in our contingency fund. But what I want to make real clear, and I need everybody to hear this, real clear. Please stop. I need you to hear this because there's a lot of confusion out here. When it comes to the foundation and funds that we utilize to compensate the president, none of those funds come from scholarship. They don't come from anything but the actual management fees that you pay when you are a part of the foundation. The NAA has an account in the foundation. They charge us management fees. Regions, chapters, they charge management fees to manage money. Those are the fees that we utilize to offset and run the day in, day out operations of the foundation. And those are the funds that we have to make up the difference in the president's salary, football coach salary, whatever that's where those funds come from. So I need y'all to hear that real clear, really clear, because that, I'd heard some things about, well, I don't want scholarship dollars here. No, none of that. The interest comes back to you and your respective endowed accounts. That interest is there. It certainly comes to us as an NAA, but we do pay management fees to be a part of the FAMU Foundation. And so I've been driving toward a collective point because what I think this national organization needs to really get to the point of collectively, if we knew all of the chapters in all of the regions that have accounts at the actual foundation, we can now have a great conversation about management fees. We can talk about how do we leverage the collective of the NAA to have that conversation. But because there have been chapters, regions, etc., that don't want to collectively share this information, it's my opinion that we're losing the opportunity while we're at the table to have a great conversation of how we can use our dollars to leverage them even more. And that's why it's important, this next administration, that we have to have that information. Because collectively, right now, the NAA, we've got about 2.6, maybe $2.7 million in the account. That's as a DSO. We must protect that 2.7. That's why you see compliance measures coming forward. We don't want to talk about the big D word, because the big D words means we lose our $2.7 million. That's the action of your national board, is to protect that money, because that's the lifeblood of how we're going to support these students. So we've been measured in how we communicate certain things. Yes, we're the voice of rattlers. We're also the voice of those paid members that are active in this association. And it's important that you understand that. Yes, you can be upset, you can have your own personal opinion, but sometimes the challenge I'm facing right now is how we unweave that when I'm having conversations with this president-elect who don't understand that. All she hears is alumni is against me. And I had to have a conversation with Ms. Johnson the other day to kind of help her get a perspective that this is the National Alumni Association. We move as one body. I don't have an opinion. I move when you guys vote to tell me to move in that direction, which is why we did what we did to support the candidate that we thought as an alumni association was the best candidate. We're at a point now that we have to move forward to protect these students, and whoever the president is, we got to work with that person to make sure that person understands what we got to do to support these students. So we're going to start right there. We're going to have this great conversation. That's kind of the kickoff, but RVP Russ mentioned this, and I said, absolutely, I'm more than happy to have this conversation. So anything you want to add, sir?
Let me just say, since I've been here, there have been several, I say backroom kind of conversations about what's going on at the university with the new president and everything surrounding that. So I pulled Curtis aside and said, you know, I'm getting feedback from people attending that let's talk about what we're going forward from here. What are we going to do? And let's get the people, since it is a general body meeting, you know, let's get the input from those in attendance to see what the executive board needs to do going forward. So Curtis and Chuck worked it out so that we could have this town hall meeting. And let's be clear. I mean, you know, a lot of us have been very emotional in social media and the like, and hopefully, you know, we don't lose that emotionalism, but now it's time to get down to business about what do we do going forward. So we're looking for your input, your comments, to take that to the executive board and the new administration so that we can do what the body wants to do as far as trying to pull something together to support our university and our students. The one thing that we cannot do, and I think, you know, I kind of speak for everybody on this, we cannot harm the university nor our students, okay? So we should act as on one accord, and everybody in here should have that as their motto going forward. No harm to the university nor the students, okay? So with that said, I'll just open it up and how we want to go forward. Just if you got comments, come on up to the microphone. Come on up to the mic.
Yeah, absolutely. Please just state your name so we.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, Tyrone Crosby, President of the Greater Baltimore Chapter. And so my question is regarding the management fees. How much are those management fees? Because my concern is, if you're talking about if the foundation is possibly contemplating a compensation package of $500,000 a year, that can quickly eat up those management fees. And so that's my concern.
Yeah. So that's why you saw the tabling today of that motion. When VP Neal was here the other day, he made a presentation. I'm going to get his presentation. We will forward that out to you because it had the percentages on there. I don't know if you caught any of that, but we can communicate that out so that you know what those fees are. And I would encourage regions or chapters that have actually gift agreements. You need to review that. You need to find your gift agreements because there's also some compliance there that we're out of compliance on gift agreements. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be updated, and you need to understand who has signed your gift agreements because life is lifing, and we're in situations now that people have signed gift agreements and the principal, and they're no longer on this earth. So it becomes a quagmire of how we try to move through this. So we got to look at this on all levels to make sure things are being looked at and evaluated annually to make sure we are properly planning and have things in place when stuff happens. Yes, sir.
Good evening. Patrick Gray, Greater Orlando Chapter. I would like for we're a performance-based university now, and I would like for the board to consider, I've done my research, I don't think the Board of Governors is going to overturn the Board of Regents' decision. Okay? So, but what I would like for the board to consider, since we're a performance-based university, we're operating at a very high standard now. If our performance goes backwards at all, that the university is not punished, that we hold the leadership team accountable going forward.
Okay, so if I hear you right, you're saying more, and I think that what I hear you saying, accountability is obviously placed on the president and the administration that's running it.
Exactly.
And I think that that's a great conversation
And
to
don't
have.
punish the university.
Right.
If they don't perform at the current standards, we go backwards.
Right.
Don't punish the university, hold the leadership team accountable.
I think you can convey that to not only the Board of Trustees, but the Board of Governors. I can assure you that there's a high degree of accountability with this Board of Trustees as well as this Board of Governors. As Chair Harper mentioned the other day, the Board of Governors have their own outlook on what performance is going to look like when it comes to Florida universities, and they want to be the very best in the United States of America, and they're going to do everything they can to get us there. Okay? Yes, sir, Mr. Sebastian.
Good afternoon, the Sebastian Alexander. You know who I am. It's a comment.
Okay.
I would implore the NAA to think the long game.
Yes.
We see what has transpired. This was not an overnight situation. With those 8 and 4 and the overnight coming in, this was thought out very diligently. And I think oftentimes we are reactive and not proactive, or we think to what's in front of our face, not for the next 10 to 20 years.
Right.
And so whatever the NAA does, whatever the NAA backs, whatever the NAA suggests, we should think not just in the moment, but the long game. Because if we would have caught this a while back of the people that were being placed on the Board of Trustees, whomever they may be that should remain unnameless that I do not like, we wouldn't be in this space.
Thank you. Your comments are well received. And be careful. Let me say this to you. And Chair Harper mentioned this, and I think we have all learned more in civics and government than we care to probably admit that we really didn't know, right? But here's what I got to tell you. You now have to understand that elections matter. Whoever's in the governor mansion matters, because you now see the power that can be yielded as the governor to place members on the Board of Trustees. So I'm going to share this with you. There are those conversations that have gone on, Mr. Alexander. There were names brought forth to the governor of noted rattlers that could serve at a high level and serve in this corporate America. They did not get past that screening process. No, I'm talking about Board of Trustees, sir. No, hold on. I'm talking about Board of Trustees member. Okay. Sir, what I'm telling the audience is, it was mentioned earlier, we need people to step up, yes, and raise their hand to be Board of Trustees, volunteers opportunity. Well, you got to think through that as well. That's strategic as well. We've had a number of rattlers that have come and gone off that board. Okay? So I'm just letting you know, the full disclosure is, yes, we do need to think about that. And in 2 years and 18 months, we're going to have a change in leadership at that place right there on Monroe Street, Adams Street, okay? And that's important. And we have to understand that we must do all we can within a reason of this as individuals to get our communities to understand the importance of voting, period. Okay? All right. Yes, sir.
Derek Singleton. I've been listening to a lot of the back.
Oh, to the mic a little closer. Yes, sir.
I'm sorry about that. Derek Singleton, Metro Jackson chapter. I've been listening to a lot of people going back and forth, right? We get angry, they're active, and the whole line, it doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is, we have a board of trustees. They voted, and I was surprised at the vote. 8-4. I'm like, whoa. Is there something being said that's going on that I don't know about, I haven't heard about, right? But the fact of the matter is, the person has been elected. We are Rattlers. I'm going to support FAMU whether we're up here or we're down there, but no matter what. And when this individual comes in, I think we have an obligation to support her as much as possible, as long as she is working in the best interest of FAMU. And if she's going to screw it up, it won't take long to figure it out. Then you can start acting a clown and burn down the campus or whatever you want to do.
You won't do that.
But point is, right? The point is, we need to doggone see this woman for some reason, right? So I think she's looking out for us.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Singleton. Yes, sir.
Good evening, Rattlers. I'm Al Edmonds. I serve, I'm not president-elect of the Palm Beach County chapter.
All right. Palm Beach.
And also freshman class of 80, with the likes of Tanya, who's behind me.
Talk in the mic, please.
I'm sorry. Likes of, like I said, the freshman class of 80, Tanya, and our interim president, also Carmen, and Kimberly Godwin. But my question is, they're expecting us to contribute to the salary of the president. Are they expecting us to contribute to the, when I say us, the board or the foundation to contribute to the?
So the foundation is evaluating. We have a contingency fund, and we fund a lot of things, right? So if the AD comes to us and say we need help, we have help. If the 100 come to us and say we need 100,000, we've done it.
Can we, as a body, put some benchmarks there if she failed to those standards or whatever?
I would say that's a little bit out of our purview. The NAA president sits on the foundation board. I'm a voting member. Yeah. The next president-elect will sit on the foundation board and express her vote at that time on the board. And so that is the voice that we have at that table to weigh in on how monies are spent. And the budget, etc.
We can't put no kind of...
I would advise us not to do that at this point.
All right. Well, my last thing, someone mentioned time and place. I got a text from some individuals from Palm Beach County. We were looking to host the next meeting. It was in 2020, but we're not prepared to do it. So if you look at that, look at us for doing 2027. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, Ms. Ware, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to turn around and talk to people because I don't want to have my back to anyone. And I'm a person of very few words. But what I'm going to tell you all is we've got all this emotional pain pent up in us. We need to talk about how do we strategize. We need to talk about how do we mobilize, how do we organize to, one, engage what I call the lost generation of Rattlers that are not in the Alumni Association. So how do we increase our alumni participation, as they call it, from 6% to over the 12% that we see nationally? How do we increase our giving rate in terms of dollars from the 15.3% that I know about to, let's say, excel over that 20%, right? How do we engage our alumni and the citizens of Florida in the voting process? How do we find those voters who are registered but not engaged in the process? How do we educate them to get to the polls? How do we find those voters who are not registered to get them registered, to get them involved in the process? That is what we need to be strategizing on. And I understand everybody has emotions about what's going on. But at the end of the day, we're here to support FAMU and our students. And I yield.
All right. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
My last comment.
Yeah, no problem.
Keisha Alexander Johnson. So a beautiful sister who just spoke was really speaking to something that I was about to ask about. And so the first part of my question is, we are nonpartisan.
Mm-hmm.
When we register people to vote, that is a nonpartisan process.
Mhm.
So for clarity, in terms of you as our president,
Mhm.
could you perhaps speak to let chapters know whether or not we are allowed to engage in voter registration only, but training, you have to go through training, and they tell you you cannot be partisan in that process? And then I have a second question.
With respect to that, we do have a compliance manual or format that went out to the regional VPs that are to follow and to disseminate to chapters.
Yeah, okay.
And in addition, it depends on, each state has certain laws. So in the state of Florida, it's not simply that you can do voter education and elections. There are some penalties that result in that. So we want to be very careful with respect to doing that.
Yeah, without being too partisan, the laws have made it, there are severe financial consequences if voter registration cards get lost. I would encourage all chapters to work with the local supervisor of elections office and let them do the work and direct people to them so that you don't fall under that consequence.
And the second part to my question, I usually don't speak to this, but I was the regional social action coordinator for Sigma Gamma Rho, the Southeastern United States. And so I was also part of the grassroots organization that resulted in some positive results a while back. And so one of the things I wanted to just encourage our members here to do is to work with other nonprofit, nonpartisan organizations such as the NAACP and others.
Right.
Also with other grassroots organizations, and if you authorities, working with them as well, you know, in this process. And the HBCU Alliance, we have that in Georgia, but we don't really have that here in Florida. Well, not here, but in Florida.
Right.
That's another way to work with others to try and make sure that we make an impact. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think we have to be careful. We try not to say no, but there were instances where we got blindsided by the information that we had no idea was going on. And so we put this compliance piece in so that you can communicate to your national board so that we can evaluate that. These are smart ladies up here that can look at stuff and advise me on how close to the line we are. In a lot of cases, we need to back up. And I see that a lot with chapters. And so my word of caution to us is, I know we want to wear sometimes our orange and green and be that and posting this on our chapter websites and Facebook pages. That just brings about more questions and scrutiny, right? And that's what I think we have to be cognizant of. I'm not saying no, but let's have the conversation. Respect your legal team, because as I said, all we're trying to do is protect what we have and grow that. Okay? Thank you. Yes, sir.
All right, Xavier Durden, Southern Region Vice President, Life Member, Southwest Tennessee. Mr. President, and maybe President-elect, I don't know, but just a question for you. It was stated earlier that on the Florida Board of Governors website that we could look at the vacancies for trustees for the universities.
Mm-hmm.
And I was perusing that, and it showed that there are 3 for Florida A&M University.
Mm-hmm.
As we talk about strategy,
Mm-hmm.
is trying to make sure that we're in order, but is that something that the National Alumni Association can kind of rally? Maybe we can kind of
Mm-hmm.
vet internally who we would like to represent us on the board, and putting forth an application, kind of weed out some of the random people that
Sure.
just have Florida A&M on a resume that
Sure.
don't represent the core values and the beliefs of what we do. So if that's something, I don't know how to galvanize that effort, but I think maybe we can kind of push through
Mm-hmm.
for an interview at the very least to represent our interest.
Well, I will speak on it. Yeah. So I got 31 days in a wake up, right? And I'm willing to have conversations with trustee members, et cetera, and try to bring forth candidates. But being a person that's in the state of Florida that understands these politics, it has to be a certain caliber that we can get past the governor's office that can sit on that trustee board. And there's been a real strong commonality of all of the trustees, except for maybe a couple that sit on that board, that they belong to certain parties. Okay? So I'm just letting you know, we've got some great rattlers out there. We need to know who they are. And we need to be able to look at them and say, yeah, these are candidates. I have no problems with my remaining time. President-elect will deal with that when she takes office July 1. But I think that is a smart strategy. We have been doing that. We're just saying it out loud now, okay?
Thank you.
Good afternoon, and thank you all for all the work you're doing for our institution.
Yeah.
My name is Ryan Mitchell. I live here in Dallas. I'm a life member of the NAA. My question, I believe, speaks to what most people are asking, which is, if the foundation does not supplement the salary of the president-elect, where will the money come from?
That's a great question, and I don't have an answer. But I don't know. I just know we have a certain amount of money that they're going to make that recommendation, obviously. I have no idea, sir. What I can say is I don't know. That's what I can say. That's the honest truth. We don't know. We're in uncharted waters at Florida A&M, and I don't know what their powers could be. I don't know what they would do. I don't know if we'd get a bolus from the Board of Governors. I don't know if we'd get... I can tell you that there is a growing sentiment to support at whatever level and cost need be to see that she is successful.
Well, I will just say that in her application it said, how did you find out about this? And she said nomination. And I think whoever nominated her to apply for that job should supplement her. And I yield.
All right, what do you have, sir? Good to see you.
Hey, Brother President. My name is Jeff Holden. I'm from the Charlotte area chapter. And I'd just like to ask a question to try and make my point. Last week, there was a town hall meeting on the Zoom. Can I see a show of hands of how many folks was on that Zoom call? I'm sorry? It was only one town hall meeting. Keepers of the Flame, thank you. Keepers of the Flame town hall meeting. Okay, put your hands down. Now, it was also a meeting held by the NAA on that same night. Check. Same time. Can I see a show of hands of folks that was at that meeting? Okay. Okay, my point being, people can say what they want to say about the NAA. They don't do this, they don't do that. Boy, do we really need the NAA right now for the problem that we're in. What I don't want to see happen is for us to splinter into 3 or 4 different directions. You got a group doing this, you got a group doing this, you got the NAA doing this. We need one organization. This is what the NAA, I don't know exactly what the mission statement is, but somewhere in there, the NAA has to support the university. One organization. We don't need 4 organizations trying to do this. We've done that throughout history, and that will not serve us good. One, NAA.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, just one quick point. Our meeting, our regularly scheduled monthly meeting, was scheduled 3 years ago. So the Keepers of the Flame that came up recently scheduled during the same time that we scheduled our meeting 3 years ago, and it was noticed for a long time. So that's one thing. But second thing, just understand, I mean, you and I might philosophically agree on what's going on and what happened and didn't happen.
And we all want the best for FAMU.
But let me finish. Okay. I didn't interrupt you, sir.
All right.
A direct support organization, however, is put in the unfortunate position that our existence can be terminated immediately if the trustees or the university president feels, and it says in the regulation, that we are not operating in the best interest of the university, which is obviously up to a lot of discretion. So in all your great strategy, please strategize, But just understand, our meetings are open to the public and listened in, and we have to be careful about what we advocate because we can advocate our way out of existence.
Reggie, all I'm saying is we need 5 groups or organizations trying to do the same or different things. We need to be under one umbrella to help Florida A&M.
Right. There are things that the keepers may be able to say that we cannot and will not say, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon. Rakenia Henson, President, Volusia County Chapter, Volusia, Florida. It isn't about the president-elect. I just thought this was an open forum, and I wanted to, okay. I would like us to come up with some strategies as the NAA to galvanize the recent graduates and figure out how we get them here with us. Like my daughter graduated May of last year, and she took the pledge. You got up there, and nothing has happened. She hasn't received, I keep asking her, did you receive something in your email? Keep looking, and nothing has happened. If she wasn't my child and I wasn't following up, then she wouldn't be a member of the NAA. So if that's happening with her, I feel like it's happening across the board, and we're missing out on all of these young people who could be very fresh blood and fresh ideas to help us move forward. So I just wanted to go on record and ask that that's something that we look into putting some movement behind. Thank you.
All right, point received. Mr. Mitchell, you recognize, sir.
Normally in a situation like this, when folks want to plan some actions, they adjourn the meeting and make these discussions.
Sure.
Our chairman told us today one of the things that we probably need to think about, a political action group. That satisfies our 501c3. It's not jeopardized, but we need to look at a PAC.
Yeah. Hold on, Reggie.
No, I think it is correct. As a 501c3, to discuss doing anything outside of 501c3 activities, a regular meeting would have to be adjourned, and then whatever members do individually is their business. But just understand that oftentimes, and I fell victim to it, no matter where you are at what time, people will associate you, if you're president of this organization or regional vice president, on your own time, people are still kind of probably going to associate with you in illegal activity. So just make sure, as a matter of compliance, if you want to talk about electioneering or PACs or 501c4 activities, just adjourn the meeting and then do that as individuals.
And add
Yeah, so thank you for that disclaimer. And so let's use that time, Rattlers, as you have free time to network. That's what this time is for. There should be some small huddles, but just know that we're in our 501c3 meeting right now at this moment, okay? Let's be careful. Yes, sir.
Roger Charity, Life Member, DFW Chapter. Regarding students and getting the younger Rattlers in the NAA quicker, is there a reason, and if it's, I'm thinking the procedure is still the same. When you go to graduate, you have to put an application for graduation. It has to be approved by the university. Upon the submission of that application, why can't the university find out where that student is going, get their information, automatically put them in the alumni chapter of where they're going? The first year is already covered, or it was covered, it should still be covered. That first year is free. Get them in the chapter, and then it'd be up to the chapters to keep them engaged. But go ahead and already, automatically, upon graduation, place them into an alumni chapter.
Okay. So thank you, Mr. Roger, for your question. I'm going to be real clear, and my media and technology is here. The university does not have access to our 501c3 database. They have no access to YM. That's a function that's locked down by us. We have had great communication and good communication in the past. We've worked through some issues. When students leave FAMU, they weren't really departing with a lot of their information, social channels, whatever. Been working lately with Ms. Brandy Frederick Tatum, and we've held some events at the graduation rehearsal using some creative ways to gather their information so that we can now import that. So there's a developing and growing working relationship with the university to gather some information. But we have to be careful on how we obtain that information, and it has to be protected and garnered, right, coming in. So that road is already starting. I'm just letting you know it's moving in the right direction. I think what we have to do is obviously look at our systems, look at how we're going to move the CRM system forward, and more importantly, the integration of that, so it will probably be a little more sleeker or easier for the younger people to want to use. So I just know that we have been moving in that direction. In the past, we got all of their FAMU.edu addresses, and that was no good the day we got it, right? So we got to build a better mousetrap, and that's going to be on the next administration. We'll give them some guidance of what we've learned, and then they'll go from there.
One of the things that we could possibly do, and I think this is already happening, is we could somehow work with the university to ensure that a lot of the students are on LinkedIn, right? If they're on LinkedIn, then you have the ability to be able to follow them, at least by the city that they work in. I'm willing to partner with Brandy if that's something that she wants to do, because I work at LinkedIn. And so basically, again, let's figure out what it is she fundamentally wants to do. I'm quite sure LinkedIn would love to grow their membership if students aren't already on there. And then Florida A&M could be leveraged as a little bit of a pilot that could then be shared with other universities to do the same thing, where they may also be having the same challenges. So I'm willing to do that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the addition. Thank you, Ms. Rose. Well, Sebastian, you got a question? Okay.
So this is something different to what they're picking back off of. I think the NAA, when it comes to, I'm the youngest person in my chapter, and I'm 44, almost 45. My chapter is very seasoned. I think that when it comes to students, is an absentee parent. When I say an absentee parent, we only show up at graduation. We only show up when it's something momentous. We should start being with them as freshmen and walking them through the process of it. Because if we only show up at graduation, they know nothing. It's about embedding that in them. The second part of my comment is, as far as I'm fundraising chair for the Northeast region, right? When I come to homecoming, when I go to convocation, you get up and speak, the new Madam President will get up and speak. There is nothing ever on the Jumbotron saying, hey, give to the NAA a QR code to where you can capture people in that moment or join the NAA. We know that we have to give somebody something tangible in the moment, because if they walk away, they're going to forget, they don't care, it's just going to be an absent memory. I have not seen those things for other people to come in. So for the new administration that is coming in, that could definitely be something at convocation, homecoming, or any football game. All those ads that they be playing on the screen, there could be a QR code or something to donate, to give, and to join. But let's not be an absentee parent as well.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, my question is a different topic. Okay, so we all know that we're going to a new system, and I guess I'm asking this on behalf of me, stepping into my new role, and also on behalf of chapter fiscal officers. We know we're going to a new system. Is there any more information you can share about the timing of the cutover, how long YM will continue to exist, will there be an overlap, and what period of time are we looking at for training? I know that was a lot, but there's a lot of unknowns.
So that's in the transition that will take place after this. I'll be having those conversations with the new incoming president and letting her and giving her an update on that and going from there. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I tried, y'all.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Morgan Color, corresponding secretary, Charlotte area.
I guess my statement is a couple of different things because they mentioned, I guess, Soror Tanya, Miss Tanya, where she brought up strategizing, and I think it's really important at this current point to point that out and also reiterate the fact that, I'm just going to turn around, reiterate the fact that trustees said that we need to have these essentially different groups and meet in those groups because we can only do but so much. And I think we need to really, she said, if you paid attention, that she all come talk to her because there are people who are already in process. So to touch on Mr. Holden's point of we need one group rather than 5 groups, go talk to her because it's already in the works. So just make sure if you pass her in the hallway that you go reach out to her and ask her, hey, what's going on? So we're not doing 2 keepers of the flame and things of that nature. On the point of different, when we have different meetings, our meetings are at the same time every single month, unless otherwise noticed. A notification goes out 7 days before. It's been set up for when I was correspondence secretary. It was set up back in August for every single month for the entire year. It goes out. And so it's important to realize when you see these meetings come up, because I didn't see it until the day of, the Keepers of the Flame until the day of. And so we need you guys to say, hey, by the way, y'all know there's an NAA meeting that same exact day. Can we change this? That is the only way that things can change and we can all attend. You know, we can get 1,000 people on the Keepers of the Flame call and we can get 1,000 people on the NAA call, right? And so I think it's important that we are using our voice in that way to make sure we are all, like you said, on the same page. As far as the freshmen, I have received, even as corresponding secretary on my way out, just recently, a number of emails from freshmen saying, hey, how can I get involved? And so I think it's important, which is a testament to whatever has been done at graduation or at the graduation rehearsal, like President Johnson mentioned. We have to keep that going. So if you're at graduation rehearsal, touch somebody, reach somebody, say, hey, join the association. The emails, they do expire. The .edus, they go away. And so we can't use that. And a lot of people signing up with that, and that's how they're sending the emails. So we have to do a little bit more with just the 300 of us here, but also on a broader scale. And I think that that's what he said we're working towards. So just we move forward. Thank you.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Wrench, you recognize. And I see, what last comment we'll take is Mr. Armstrong. I'm gonna need to skedaddle and get upstairs for a vote right quick. So we'll take this, I'll make a comment, and then we'll go from there. Yes, yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
Larry Rentz, President, Washington, D.C. chapter. Connecting several things that have just been said here in a few minutes. We do, this is relative to our students, our nephews and nieces. We do touch them. I think almost every chapter in here has a freshman send-off where the alumni sponsor those kids going off. We give them a t-shirt or something, welcome to the family. We need to keep that going and not see them 4 years later. Some things, mentioning Facebook. Let's pull them in now. I'm feeling our communications, so important. We're not communicating. Communication and working off of data is so important to being efficient and accomplishing what we want to do. I went to LinkedIn because we needed a communications person to help us get our message out, to help improve our membership. We got a great J school. So I've Googled, well, I didn't Google, but I searched for FAMU student J school, and I got a bunch of hits, and I reached out to them. My chapter approved the budget, allocated about $4,000 to bring a communications person on to help us. And recently, also through the J School, we now have coming in this next year, a FAMU student is going to help us with our communications and comms, okay? I think we all should do that. Pull them in, okay? Make them, a part of what we're doing. Also, we've been having some sidebars and some chats we talked about in the Northeast region. I've talked to Charlotte and some of the folks in the South. Let's invest in them. We give scholarships, but only a handful of those can get that. What about buses to get these kids home for Thanksgiving? We're in the Northeast, so it's a good hike. Jacksonville, that's 2 hours down the road, maybe not an issue, but I had a parent ask me last year at last year's freshman send-off, do y'all do a bus to help get the students home for Thanksgiving? I said, that's a good idea, but we don't, and I said, I'll look into that. I do know when I worked at the University of Maryland, their Alumni Association started that. Now, those buses were only going from Maryland up towards the further north, but the Alumni Association started that. It was so successful, the university adopted that, and that's an annual thing that they do. So things like that, investing in our young rattlers now so they know what the Alumni Association do and not this nebulous thing that they should join because they graduated from FAMU. Let's show them what right looks like now so they're ready to jump in. Thank you, and I yield.
Ms. Freddie, I think, wanted to say something.
I was just thinking about some of the things that you are talking about, but are we really aware of what time it is for us and really what is going on in the country and how it is going to affect FAMU? And I think that we need to start strategizing about what we are going to do when they really come at FAMU to eliminate us. Because if we are eliminated, as far as the black college, then it would be easy for all the rest. The move is to eliminate black colleges. The move is not to educate our children. The move is for our children not to know our history. What are we thinking? Why we are not planning? Everybody has a plan but us. And the reason why, I want all of you to read the Willie Lynch letter. And I know you have to get upstairs. I want you to read the Willie Lynch letter and know why we are the way we are and why we don't seem to get it when it comes to things that affect us and affect us in a way that we have a coming together. Because the answer for all of us is what we have been told: not to like each other, not to trust each other, not to, be resentful and hate ourselves and hate each other. We need to deal with that so that it will be better for our children. And we need to really make an effort, as the young man said, to get young people involved, because the people who don't know their history, they're bound to repeat it. Folks, I've lived long enough to let you know we are going to repeat it. We are repeating it. So we need to start thinking about that. And thank you for listening.
As our administration winds down, one of the things I would ask, and we got a lot of brilliant people in the room. We got a lot of brilliant people at FAM. I can't tell you how many folks, and I will say to the incoming administration, you will get several rattlers at football games that'll change, because that's where they come give you all their ideas. So, but we need people who can own it. I really want to implore that. We don't have enough bodies. One of the things that Curtis and I wrestled with all the time was we had 100 ideas that were all great, but we can't do all of it. I got 50 ideas right now that people have given me. Hey, we need buses from here to there. Well, I need somebody to say, hey, Chief, here's the company, here's pricing, here's how we can raise the money to pay for it. And all you got to do is just put it on the website. We already built it. As I told several alumni, Rattlers want Lamborghinis. We need people who can build. So when you come with an idea, all I'm asking for, incoming administration, et cetera, is frame it up, write it up, build it for them so they don't have to build it. And then all they have to do is implement it. Okay? That's the request. We got a lot of great ideas, but we need people to own it. I can't tell you how many times I talked to people and I said, hey, can you help us with that? Oh, no, Chief, I don't have the time, but I just wanted y'all to do it. So then it's going to wait because it's just a never ending of things to do. So what would really bless all of us and all of you, you're here, so obviously you're committed, is to build your idea and bring it and just say, all I need y'all to do is turn this on. That would be extremely helpful. I would be remiss if I didn't stand and say that to you guys. We need people who can come build the idea. Thank you.
And as your general counsel, the ideas are great. We just want to make sure we're in legal compliance. So let's be careful interacting with students, and let's be careful with liability in terms of buses. So great ideas, but let's make sure that we follow protocol and let's have the idea vetted. But we certainly welcome the ideas. We appreciate it. We appreciate the energy, and I think we all have that common goal. Thank you for the opportunity to serve.
All right. Thank you guys for sticking around and participating in this impromptu meeting. Your comments have been well received, and let's not let the communication stop at this meeting. You know, reach out to your executive board members, your chapter presidents, your regional vice presidents. We need ideas for how do we move the needle forward to protect FAMU and its students. And before we close, our president-elect is going to make a few comments. But again, I want to thank you all for your participation, your comments, your ideas. They've been heard. Thank you.
Thank you very much, RVP Russ. I don't have any particular comments to make except to say thank you all for your feedback. We will certainly implement those things that we are able to implement that would not get us into any legal trouble. We will always, consult with our general counsel to make sure that we're doing things decently and in order. And so I think the major thing here that the takeaway is that we need to make sure as an alumni association that we are following our 501c3 regulations, but also that we are here first to support FAMU and make sure that she lives on forever, and we're here to support our students, making sure that we're also giving money to our university so that we can do the things that we need to do. So thank you all for coming out. Appreciate your staying this extra time to have this session, the open session with us. And if there isn't anything else, any other comments? You have a comment, okay. Chuck Lewis. Okay. All right. Any further business to be discussed? We have it. Yes. Please. I believe that may be your comments that you're going to bring forth. He will. Any other business items? I believe the chaplain may have some business. Please come to the microphone.
I'm sorry. Tomorrow afternoon, we will observe our annual Fallen Rattler tribute. And Many have already sent in their Fallen Rattler. We're going to put up a QR code. It's up right now. It will hit the flip book tonight. You can log on to that and put your Fallen Rattler in there, and you'll see once you click on that, even if that name has already been submitted, don't feel bad about submitting it again. You have until 10 o'clock tomorrow morning to submit that name for the Fallen Rattler scroll, which we will read reverently tomorrow afternoon at 12:45. And then for those that may want to attend church service on Sunday, we will be going to a church. It'll be announced. It'll be in the flip book tonight, but it'll be announced tomorrow. The church is the church of Angelia Williams, who is the county commissioner here that opened up the conference on Sunday morning. And the church is about 10 minutes away. You take an Uber there. The service begins at 9 o'clock on Sunday morning. We will announce this again tomorrow. It'll be in the flipping book tonight. And they do have a reserve section for us there for Sunday. That is my announcement.
All right, thank you very much.
Madam Chair.
Yes. It is properly moved and seconded to adjourn this session. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay.
Yeah,
We
I got you.
are going to get the
We're
announcement.
just adjourning the meeting.
All right. The ayes, I'm sorry. Okay, the ayes have it. This session is adjourned. We will hear some comments from Chuck Lewis. Thank you.
For those of you that were not in the room earlier, your voucher for the food truck will be ready right outside of this room. Just go to the table, show your badge, and your voucher will be given to you. If you do not have a badge, we have a list of all that were registered, and we'll still be able to get you a voucher. Okay? Food trucks will be ready at 6 o'clock. They'll be out the front door to your left in the parking lot. Okay? The voucher's for $25. Anything above $25 comes out of your pocket. Anything above $25 comes out of your pocket, but $25 should get you a nice meal for the evening. There should be 4 food trucks there, as well as there'll be some slingshot vehicles that you can drive if you sign a waiver and want to take it around the block twice or two. There'll be a DJ and there'll be a cash bar. Okay? We'll come back tomorrow morning with our fundraising breakfast. Come in your bright orange and green. Be ready to give until it hurts. Other than that, we'll see you later. Have a good rest of the day.